ladies and gentlemen, this is According to Callus, and today it's going to be episode 129, and 129 is the day that I'm going to explain why forums matter. Indeed, I'm going to actually spend a little time describing what I think the difference is between a forum and a debate and the functions that both of them serve. And while you may disagree with me, you can, but you'd be wrong. Why? Because this is According to Callus, and I make this up as I go along. Well, not really, but look, I try to be consistent both in worldview and actions in everything that I do, which is not to say that I'm perfect at it, because I've never claimed to be, but that is to say that what you intend matters, what you do matters more, and quite frankly, how you act and how you behave and how you treat others matters even more still. So, first, my definition of a forum. Now, no, I did not look this up in a dictionary, and I'm not even certain what the actual dictionary definition is, and quite frankly, I don't care. For the purposes of this discussion and my point of view, a forum is when you have multiple people that come to speak on an issue. Ideally, you have different people with different points of view that are coming to discuss it and have a exchange of ideas and a free-flowing discussion on different aspects of whatever the issue is. Now, ultimately, the goal is to come up with several ideas on how you would address it or make it better or determine whether or not it's a real threat. But it's not necessarily about convincing the audience that one side's wrong or not. It's not necessarily about arguing with the other members of your panel. It's more of like a team effort where you're coming at it from all the different points of view and all the different methodologies of thinking about it to determine what do we think about this issue, what do we think about this topic, and where are areas that we can agree and things that we can do that would be overall beneficial, that wouldn't necessarily have negative side effects or problems, if you will. Now, in a forum, you may delve into disagreements or even argument, but in my mind, that's not the goal. That's not what the outcome of the forum is. It's supposed to be an open discussion. It's supposed to be kind of a neutral presentation so that everybody can speak freely and nobody feels attacked. And you're not looking to necessarily take sides on either the stage or in the audience. Now, there are forums that exist, and everything is presented from one side, whether it's a political side or an economic side or even just a point of view side, right? If you get 5 people that are from similar backgrounds and similar job places, they're going to typically have a very similar idea about an issue. And you can have everybody that's theoretically on one side politically, but have a different way of looking at it because their point of view changes. So the idea is to spread the load and come up with different ideas. So that is one of the things that my partnership with the McKinney First Pack has focused on, is getting people with different points of view, different sides of the aisle, different ways of looking at things, and having this discussion and bringing forth multiple ideas and multiple ways of looking at things so that we can better understand what's at play or what the concerns are. The next thing we're going to be discussing is going to be the role of government during an emergency. Now, there's multiple applications there, and honestly, with the exception of the one guy, I have no idea what anybody's going to say. And that's both invigorating and exciting at the same time, which I guess is a synonym, but it's a little scary. Because you don't know. Somebody might get up there and just start going off on a wild tangent. Somebody might come up with something crazy. But it's part of what makes it interesting. It's part of what the process is of a forum. Now, there are some forums that they're very tightly managed. They're very centric to providing no difference of opinion. Indeed, those forums tend to be put on by an organization that's trying to reinforce their point of view. That's one of the things that McKinney First PAC has told me flat out. We're not necessarily looking for everybody to agree with us. We're not looking for all of our panelists to be the same mindset. We want to have a discussion. We want to be able to put forth different points of view. And I think on the first two, we've done a pretty good job of doing that. On this particular one, we weren't able to find anybody that I would say classifies as left of center that wanted to participate. And I'm sad for that, because I know several people that would classify themselves left of center. And I want them to be able to be present. I want them to participate. I want them to be able to articulate their point of view, because I am curious and I want to know. But we're going to have at least 3 more forums after this. So we're going to be recruiting. We're looking for people that are at least somewhat well known, that have some gravitas or some comfort in discussing an issue or set of issues, and are willing to come join us up on the stage or behind the table, if you will, and talk about the issues at hand. And I, for one, will promise you that I'm not going to beat up on you, and I'm going to prevent anybody else from beating up on you, both metaphorically, physically, and verbally. This is supposed to be an environment where we can exchange ideas freely without being attacked. Okay, now that I've spelled out what I classify as a forum, I've given you an example of how we've handled our forums that I've been involved with. Now let me talk about a debate. Now, there's typically more than one kind of debate. There's the kind of classic or formal debate. I think Tom Woods has talked about this a couple different times, wherein the two sides come in. And it's an Oxford style, just to be clear. Two sides come in. They're going to argue both sides of a specific issue. Everybody in the audience is polled. What did they think about this issue before the debate? And then after the debate, both sides are polled again, and whoever gets the biggest change is declared the winner. Because you could go in with an issue where you have a majority, and then when the debate's over, the majority's still there, but the percentage of the majority drops or gains, and that's how you would determine who the winner or the loser is. It's kind of to level the field, if you will. The other kind of debate would be you come in and you're going to say, I'm candidate A and I'm better than candidate B because of this, 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 and this. And then candidate B says, well, that may be true. As the incumbent, I've had to make these compromises to do this, that, or the other thing. But candidate A doesn't know what they're talking about, and they don't have all the details on this, 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 and this. So that'd be another kind of debate. And honestly, that kind of debate often goes into a lot of fallacies, right? Logical fallacies, which is not to say the Oxford debate style doesn't go into that, but those folks are generally a little more careful, a little more prepared, and because they know they'll be called out on that fallacy, they tend to avoid it. Whereas the other one, the political debate, if you will, they have skin in the game and they want to just look good, and they're going to slam their opponent, and they're going to get their point of view out, and there's something to be said for both of those. Now, for me personally, I would be far more interested in observing and partaking in an Oxford-style debate. I think that if you do it and you do it right, you get to have a better understanding of the issues or the issue that you're debating, and it's more professional, more even keel, better presentation. Now, maybe this next year, McKinney First PAC will feel interested in trying to do that, and I would love to partake in any way, shape, or form that they see fit. And yes, that's a little plug for me and them, but I mean, that's me. Then we have our political debates, where we're going to have multiple candidates basically trying to sell themselves as being the better candidate while attacking the other candidate. The McKinney First PAC, as far as I know, would probably be open to hosting that. I know that we did candidate forums multiple times back in the old days when I was with McKinney Tea Party, and I know that some of the successor, the Collin County Patriots, and several other groups have their own candidate forums. And while I appreciate the candidate forum, particularly if it's a primary, I think that it's useful to pit the candidates against each other, to see how they operate, see what they have to deal with a little pressure when somebody's calling them out. That's something that would really be exciting to me. I don't know in a general election that you can pull off that kind of debate, because the sides are already formed and they're going to basically support their candidate no matter what. I mean, I've been to a Democrat debate, and some of what I heard was scary, but not scary because it was evil or, whatever else. It was scary that the guy making the argument was actually making a very good argument, and it was enough that where it was like, oh, well, I could see where that would be very convincing. I could see where that would be very saleable to people that were open to this. So you got to be careful. Do you want to give a platform to something like that? Well, to be fair, to be open, to be honest, yeah, that's an appropriate thing. I just don't know that they would want to participate, particularly if my friends over at the McKinney First PAC were to offer it. I think most folks left of center are not willing to deal with them. And I'm hoping that the aura of the last municipal election drifts off into the ether at some point in the near future here, because I think that they've, in their reorg and their reshaping and the reimagining, if you will, what they could and should be doing as a PAC, that they're in a position to do a lot of good for the community, which is why I was excited to partner with them and to provide this role as being moderator for their forums. And I would love to participate if we could get some debates, particularly in the primaries. And I know the Democrats do their own thing, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And if they want to be separate, I'm perfectly fine with that as well. I offered and tried to broker a deal in this last election cycle to have a debate between the runoff candidates. Strangely enough, one of the candidates refused. Basically didn't think it was worth his time, didn't think that he would be treated fairly, didn't want to have anything to do with it. And that's sad. And I don't know if that's more of a reflection on me. I don't know if it's a reflection of local politics. I don't really know what that would be a reflection of. See, because when I do my show is about me, what I think, what I want. But when I'm serving a purpose, i.e. I'm serving as a moderator, or I'm serving as a chairman of a committee, what I want gets set aside. My duty supersedes my professed whatever, my preferred outcome. I'm going to do the job. And I'm honest about my bias at the beginning, which is more than most moderators or most people that are involved in these things can do. I mean, anybody that does an interview is biased. Anybody that says they're going to be objective is already biased. I mean, I try to be objective, but I at least recognize my own biases and I try and account for them. And the reason why I'm being objective is because I want to be fair to somebody, because just because I disagree with somebody or I question their point of view, right? Somebody that's coming from, and I'm going to use an extreme example here, just bear with me, but somebody that's coming from a Marxist or a totalitarian background, immediately I'm going to want to dismiss what they have to say or what they think. That's my knee-jerk reaction. But to be objective, to be fair, you have to look at what is it they're actually saying. What is their complaint? I have several acquaintances or friends that look at things differently than I do. And while we agree this is an issue or this is a problem, the disagreement really comes in the solution and how do you fix this? But if you can at least agree that this is a problem, then you're going to be open to discussing, well, what's the best way to solve this? And you maybe can have a little less tense discussion on, well, we could try this or we could try that, or this has been done before, or this has been a failure or a success before? What do we need to do maybe to tweak it for the local region or the local populace? Those are all things that can happen if you're at least willing to listen to your opposition. You're at least willing to hear what their concerns are. And you never know, you might actually agree with the concern. You might actually agree that this is a problem and then figure out a way that you can solve that problem. The difference is, I think with a lot of our politicians is they just want to be nice. They just want to, give the other guy something so that he'll be happy. Try and buy a little peace. But at a certain point, the peace gets purchased with a higher and higher price every time, and you've got nothing left to give. That's the danger. Meanwhile, back to what I was talking about with the debate. Sorry about the little detour there, but just, again, trying to flesh this out on the fly. In the debate, the idea is really to convince the audience. And you're not looking so much to convince people that agree or disagree with you. You're looking to convince the people that are not sure. Or maybe sort of think one thing, but they're not 100% persuaded that that's the way they think. Those are the people. Those are your audience that you're looking to reach in a debate. And if you do your job well, and you treat your opponent in a professional manner, you may very well win the day with those folks. But if you get up there and you launch a bunch of ad hominem attacks, you throw out genetic fallacies, you make some, let's just say you're all over the map and you cannot make a coherent argument, but all you're really good at is attacking your opponent, who's going to listen to you? You're negating whatever value you brought by not being able to better articulate what your stance was, what your values are, or how would you approach this differently, or how would you fix this issue, whatever the issue may be. But part of let me get on my soapbox for just a moment here. Part of the problem is we all assume that government's the answer or that government can fix that. And when I say we all, I mean those of us that go to government. I try to avoid going to government pretty much at all costs, except to protect my liberty. In fact, I have several friends that feel that same way, or maybe even stronger about the issue. One of them will be present at the next forum. Those are the people that come up with some very unique solutions, very unique ideas. Some of them are maybe not super practical, but are at least worthy of a discussion. Those are the people that I want to surround myself by, because if I'm just going to always do the same old, why would I expect to get a different answer? Or why would I expect a different result if I'm always doing the same thing? Yes. So, again, forum, open discussion, exchange of ideas, no hostility, no hostile intent, and maybe not even necessarily looking for a solution, just an understanding of what the problem is and what some of the causes are. A debate, if it's the Oxford style, you're basically selling that your solution or your answer to this issue or problem is better than the other one. And then the political debate, you're selling yourself over the other guy in any way, shape, or form that you can get away with. I guess that's the three ways I would divide that, or the three categories I would divide those into. Two kinds of debates in a forum. Now, I know there's all different variations and all different options available, but where I'm coming from, and that's why it's called According to Callus, that's what we want to see. Those are the things that we expect to see. And going forward, so long as I'm involved, that is how I plan on handling forums and debates. And I'll be clear to label each of them before I partake in them. And I'll be honest, one of the toughest things about being the moderator is the fact that I don't get to participate in the discussion. I mean, I can ask the questions, and some of them can be leading, not even necessarily by my design, because I try and use audience questions, and I try and use questions that are put up at the time. I know we usually have scripted questions, but that is generally used to give the participants an idea of the kinds of questions they're going to hear, not necessarily give them an idea of how to answer. Because that's not necessarily fair to either the participants or the listeners. But by no means, shape, or form are we looking to target or ambush or abuse any of our participants. One, that's just not the way I roll. And two, that would be doing everybody a disservice. Now, debate, on the other hand, you know what you're getting into. You're coming to have an argument. You're coming to lay down your best answers in support or in opposition to something. And if it's a candidates debate, the gloves are off. I'm sorry. And really the role of the moderator is just to keep them from hitting each other. I'm joking a little bit. And sometimes it's just to keep the audience under control. So, I think I've laid that out. I think it's a very fair way of explaining things. It's pretty concise. I'm right at about 20 minutes right now. I want to thank you for listening. I hope this was useful. I hope that you'll attend the remaining forums that we're doing with the McKinney First Pack. I look forward to being involved in some debates coming up. And, well, I will just see you on the other side. Thank you, and good night.